which key principles for making a difference did we learn in the previous lessons? Well, there were many important ones. Do you think we can expand and combine them into a model? In other words, can we make a recipe for making a difference? I'll attempt to explore a recipe that organizes the ideas that we previously learned and adds some new insights. As I go over it, I want you to actively think about the strengths and weaknesses of the approach I'm presenting. Let's begin. The first step is to spot a course of action we are excited about. For example, imagine our goal is to eliminate hunger, and we've come across a brand of grain seeds that promises to boost the agricultural yields of our field so we can provide more food. More food potentially means reducing hunger. Sounds great. But as a next step, we now need to actually evaluate the effectiveness of the plan in achieving our goal. This sounds trivial, but we've seen that in the real world, people often only rely on narrative. The example of play pumps demonstrates that a great story is simply not enough. Not evaluating the effectiveness can sometimes even cause harm, and we need to make sure that our seeds will not fail and cause more hunger. However, is effectiveness enough? Not really, right? Since we need to account for the costs, our grain intervention will not be that useful if it provides a 10% improvement compared to the existing seeds, but costs 10 times as much, since then it will likely only be able to provide a food to a fraction of the people. So after we know the effect and the costs, our next step is figuring out the cost effectiveness of the intervention, the total effect divided by the costs. Though, as you recall from the previous lesson, we need a bit more nuance. We should think about our marginal cost effectiveness, the additional effect that an additional investment will yield. As a last step, if the marginal cost effectiveness of the intervention we evaluate is better than the alternatives, we should go for it and switch to the new seeds. So to recap, identify an intervention, evaluate the effectiveness, evaluate the costs, derive the marginal cost effectiveness, and if the marginal cost effectiveness of the intervention is among the best one we've found in achieving our goal, go for it. Sounds simple and very straightforward, right? Well, this simple recipe is quite useful, and it turns out that if you are following it, or even attempting to follow it, your chances of actually making a difference go up by quite a bit. But it is also far from perfect, and there are a whole host of empirical and ethical challenges we need to deal with in order to improve our decision-making process.